Well, good morning. That complaint was filed yesterday in the Circuit Court of Cook County, and it claims that both Kia and Hyundai failed to properly equip their vehicles with anti-theft technology, something that most other car companies have done as a standard feature for over a decade. Now, more specifically, the city has focused on Kias and Hyundai sold in the U.S. between 2011 and 2022. They claim both companies deceptively assured consumers that these vehicles possessed advanced safety features despite knowing about the defect and its consequences. City officials say thefts of those vehicles surged from about 500 in the first half of 2022 to more than 8,300 in the second half of the year. Mayor Brandon Johnson has said the companies have refused to provide sufficient steering wheel locks as requested by the city, adding that suspects have used the stolen vehicles to commit other crimes like reckless driving and armed robberies, as well as murders. Now, the city says so far this year, both Kia and Hyundai make up more than half of all stolen vehicles in the city. And if you have fallen victim to one of these thefts and you'd like to share your experience with the city, you can do so with details on our website. For now, reporting live from the 19th Police District, Christine Flores, WGN News.
Christine, thanks. Police.
Grace and peace, you guys. Welcome to the Standard of Truth podcast, where we discuss all things social, cultural, political, and theological from a biblical perspective. I'm sorry, y'all. I am going to be in rare form today because just when you think that things can't possibly get worse or be more absurd, the Afrosticians completely outdo themselves and show just how incompetent and brain dead they really are. I'm sorry. I'm not holding back today. Okay. Fellow Chicagoans, this is all on you. I want to feel sorry for you. I really do. But then again, nope, I'm lying. So let me first repent. I don't feel sorry for you. I am struggling to understand what would make you throw your support and loyalty behind a brain dead individual like Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. I mean, you guys, Lori Lightfoot, now she was a piece of work. But when I told y'all that Brandon was going to be worse than Lori, y'all thought I was playing. Y'all didn't think that fat meat was greasy. Well, you messed around and now you done found out. Y'all, this man is so hell-bent on completely destroying the city of Chicago that he actually sat and thought that it would be a genius idea to sue the automakers Kia and Hyundai because, wait for it, thieves are not the problem. Oh no, it's the car. It is the car. You know, the inanimate object that is steel or whatever kind of metal that it's made of. It's void of reason and thoughts and a will and emotions and a conscience. This man refuses to hold the human pavement apes that are wreaking havoc on his city by stealing the cars, but rather he thought that he would place the blame on the corporation that manufactures the cars because, you know, they're just making them with not the appropriate levels of theft deterrent. Now, I have no idea how this scholar of a mayor, what type of evidence outside of the fact that these cars might be less difficult to secure in comparison to other vehicles. But for the price of these vehicles, I am interested to see how this is going to play out in court. However, I can already see now this case is going to come across the desk of some leftical judge who ends up hearing the case, and I can guarantee you that they're going to turn their brains off and they're going to side with the mayor and they're going to rule in favor of him, forcing Kia and Hyundai to pay a judgment for something that people with normal functioning brains already know is not the causation of the crime in the city. I can guarantee you, Brandon Johnson probably thinks that this is a holistic approach. This is a holistic approach to fighting crime. But instead of Brandon Johnson actually being a leader, being a leader who is actually concerned and cares about the people that he's been elected to serve, he simply demonstrates his hatred for them by actually trying to convince us, the public, by way of a lawsuit, that it's the automobile's fault. How dare you, Kia Sorrento? How dare you, Hyundai Sonata? Don't you know that it is absurd to have an expectation that humans regulate themselves by way of adherence to laws such as thou shalt not steal, that which doesn't belong to you? Y'all, the lack of accountability, these Soros-funded prosecutors and these brain-dead progressive mayors like Brandon Johnson, like what we had here in Atlanta with Keisha Lance Bottoms, these are the individuals that are destroying this country. All the while, they want to gaslight you into believing that it is the car's fault. The car is manufactured in such a way that it prevents the humans of their own recognizance to say, you know what? It's always been against the law to steal a car that's not yours. So perhaps we should just comply with the law, because if we complied with the law, then, we wouldn't have to worry about being prosecuted, and we wouldn't have to worry about people feeling unsafe to even own a car because we're regulating ourselves. Or, I don't know, what about this novel idea? What if the police force was actually empowered to enforce the crime, and the district attorneys actually, or the city or the county prosecutors who were in charge at the time, if they actually prosecuted these types of crimes and not minimize them to little petty thefts, but actually put a considerable, heavy, bona fide sentence on the fact that you were stealing people's vehicles. Because see, here's what y'all don't know. When vehicle theft goes up, that impacts, from an actuary standpoint, the cost of insurance premiums. And when insurance premiums go up, that hits you, the taxpayer, in the pockets. So you're paying taxes for a police presence, you're paying taxes, and then you're actually voting in these district attorneys who are not prosecuting the crime. People are stealing your cars. Not only does it cost more to manufacture a car with more theft deterrent, but insurance premiums go up. And when insurance premiums go up, that impacts everyone. But no one, these scholars called lefticals, such as Brandon Johnson, they don't care about that. I'm wondering, let's just say that a judge actually is like, yeah, guilty, Kia and Hyundai, I get it. A reasonable person would have a hard time stealing this. However, the way these criminals are set up, they've gotten a little bit more creative. And since you aren't providing steering wheel locks, you're not providing people steering wheel locks. Why do I need a steering wheel lock for my car? It is my car that I own. I am the law-abiding citizen here. And now I am being penalized because my taxes are going to go up. My car insurance is going to go up. All because you, Brandon Johnson, won't do your daggone job and stop being light on crime. Do you just want to be the friend of the criminals? I can guarantee you criminals don't vote like that. They're not politically engaged. So my question is, what is the end goal? Are you trying to earn favor with the lowest of the low in our society because everyone knows you're light on crime? Or do you really think in your heart of hearts that this is a holistic approach to dealing with the crime epidemic by trying to hold the car manufacturer responsible instead of the actual criminal? This makes no sense to me. But when you have a Marxist socialistic worldview, you never want to take responsibility and accountability for your own actions, and you don't want to lead. Instead, you'd rather point the finger and say, it's the car's fault. So I'm going to go after the car manufacturer. As if if we're not already burdened with the price of vehicles now, do you not think that that's going to cause the price of vehicles to go up if car manufacturers have to come up with new innovative ways to keep the mutt culture and the pavement apes and the orangutans from stealing? And then I can hear another argument now. Well, they're just bored, and they were bored and they wanted something to eat, and they were too hungry because their stomachs were growling so much that they couldn't wait for the bus to go get them something to eat. So they just decided to steal the car that was in your driveway or steal the car that was parked on the street. I'm so sick of this, but you know what? Stuff like this almost needs to happen for people to wake up. People in Chicago they're already feeling the effects of these leftical type policies from mayors such as Brandon Johnson, because they have all these illegals descending upon their community. And now you have this idiot thinking that it was a good idea to sue the car manufacturer because they're not providing vehicle locks, steering wheel locks. And I don't know if he's talking about like the club. I don't see why a vehicle manufacturer would need to provide that. I mean, outside of a car alarm, if you own a vehicle and you live in a rough area, I believe it is incumbent upon you to mitigate your own loss and liability by saying, okay, I'm going to buy a club, or I'm going to buy this, or I'm going to do some sort of aftermarket thing to protect my vehicle, or better yet, move. But I can hear the socialist minded people now. Well, everybody can't afford to move. I get that. I get that. But then you need to be civically engaged, and you need to elect politicians that actually care about you and don't want to push past the blame on someone else for them failing to do their job. I'm curious to know, let's say in the city of Chicago, let's say they win the judgment. What is the money going to be used for? What is the money going to be used for? Are you going to compensate the people whose vehicles were stolen? I doubt it. It's going to go into the coffers of the city where all the corruption lies, and there's a whole lot of people that's going to get paid, and it will not go to the constituents of the city of Chicago whose vehicles have been stolen. But Chicagoans, y'all got to take this L. You have to take this L. If you like continuing to be victimized in your own communities, particularly by people who look like you. And when I'm talking about the victimization, I'm not talking about being victimized by the criminals. I'm talking about being victimized by your own mayor. He is gaslighting you and victimizing you and making you feel like you are a prisoner in your own city because this Negro don't have the sense that the good Lord gave him to know how to lead well and to restore law and order because he is a criminal sympathizer. That's the most ignorant thing I've ever heard. But let me know, what do you think? Do you think this was smart? Do you think that, let's just say on the surface, that these vehicles outside of, at the price point that they are, in a reasonable community, they wouldn't be appealing to steal? But because criminals know, oh, okay, well, these are easier to steal. Do you really think it's incumbent on, it is the fault of the vehicle manufacturer? And even if it is, why would a municipality want to sue the manufacturer and not deal with the crime? That doesn't make any sense to me. But I'm curious to know. I am open to disagreement, but I think this is dumb, it's absurd, and it's stupid, and this country is unsustainable living under leadership like this. But let me know in the comments what y'all think. Please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Grace and